Hey everybody, Purple Haze back with you again. Sorry for the delay in video updates. I can kind of tell I got a mess going on here. I took the bike up a trail. It's an established trail. Cars go up it. Not supposed to be two-wheel drive cars. I had a couple issues going up. It had some pretty sketchy parts. So we're going to tackle everything today, hopefully. The first thing is I'm going to replace this fender delete. I got another one from T-Rex Racing I'm going to put on. What happened is the tire hit a bump, came up, grabbed the fender, the license plate, ripped the whole thing underneath. I had to bend it all back out and fix the turn signals and bend the license plate back out. So that's all getting replaced. I think I'm going to take these off because once I took the saddlebags off to get the seat off and everything else, as I was looking at it, I'm like, man, that looks so clean without anything there. And I think I'm going to leave it like that. I'll figure something out for transporting stuff. The second thing, as you can see the mess down here, at some point I had a rock hit the oil pan. Little crack. I was able to get home, didn't even notice it. 2 days later, my wife tells me to come out to the garage and look at something. And there's oil all over the ground here. Took a look, and I'll show you the crack here. Took a look, saw the crack, put the oil pan down, put the kitty litter down to help absorb everything, and I ordered a new oil pan. So we're going to tackle both these things today. I may break it up into 2 videos. We'll see. All right, let's get started. I'm going to roll this out into the driveway so I can have sunlight and you guys cannot have to focus on all this mess. All right, so I got it moved out in the driveway here. And as you can see how this is just destroyed. It's at that right angle and the whole thing was bent back here. This was bent all the way under that. Yep, that paint just chipped off if you saw that. Bent all the way under. The whole thing was under here. This was bent in, but the light itself is fine. It was bent over here somewhere and I had to twist everything out. This is just hanging on barely. I've only got the one bolt. You can see how loose it is. And if you can see right in there, it's all bent. So the light still worked to their credit, but yeah, it was kind of a pain. So I'm gonna have to redo that, take everything out, rewire it all. But the other issue, which I talked about, was the oil pan. And you can see right there, that is the two scratches, and one of them, I believe, is the top one. I actually made it all the way through, and it was just coming right out. So I've already taken the oil plug out and drained the oil out of it. I'm still going to bring another pan over here when I take the whole thing off. I got another oil filter. Interesting thing here, you can see how this nut here is really tight. That's going to be hard to get into. And there's ones behind it that are going to be a little difficult to get to as well. So I'll have to use some box wrenches on there. And you guys know I love those ratcheting box wrenches, so they should work out really well. I just ordered an OEM replacement. It was fairly cheap. I want to say 35 bucks, but it may have been 65 bucks, but it wasn't more than 65 bucks. So, also, I found out they do not make gaskets anymore for these. I didn't know that. So they just use RTV kind of gasket sealer, right? And you just make your own gasket. I had some I had used before on my 94 Honda Magna. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. But when I was always rebuilding the carburetor, I used a little bit on those gasket seals. So what I have here for that, I just picked up some Bond just because it was convenient. It's more expensive than the regular RTV seal, but it was convenient. I was there, so I'll be using that. This is the OEM oil pan for that. So, and to clean it off. Once I remove the old one, I'm going to be using these. Hopefully you guys are familiar with these plastic razor blades. So you don't use a metal razor blade to scrape off all of the gasket sealant that's already on there, because you can scratch the aluminum on there, and you don't want to do that. So you use these plastic ones. I just got them off Amazon, a bunch of different brands. So this one had like 100 blades with it, so went ahead and got that. 10 bucks or less maybe. But the first thing I'm gonna do is replace the Fender delete. So why? Just preference. I don't know why I'm doing it first. That's just what I want to do. So here is the new one. It's got the screws, plugs. Haven't even opened it yet, but I did look. One thing I already like better is that brake light. So we're going to see how this is. But it's T-Rex Racing, specifically SCL500 Fender Eliminator. This was not out when I bought the other one off of eBay. So I'll put a link up in the description. It was on Amazon. It was also on the T-Rex Racing website, but I was having issues trying to get it ordered there for some reason. But all right, so I got all but the last one done. It's loosened up. Now I'm going to go ahead and unplug the turn signals so they're not breaking off on me. Pull that back. So I'm exposing the metal. It just makes it easier to pull them off. Ah, crap, I forgot which is which, because I remember now that I talked about this in my last video. If you watched it, these did not match up correctly somehow, or something was driving me nuts with these, and I had to figure out the color scheme or something. So it looks like oranges to black. No. Yeah, orange is to red, green is to black, and white is not used because these are made for front or rear. If you remember me talking about that last time. If they're for the front, you need the running lights. For the rear, you do not. Alright, so that is all disconnected. I have that whole harness off this side, so when I take this off, if this falls, it's going to be fine. It's not going to take off any wires on me. There we go. See that? Be more careful than that. So too distracted because I forgot these spacers were in there, and I was wanting to hold those in place. But it looks like we'll see what the new one has, if it's going to need. I don't think it has that piece as well. I think it's all encompassing. So let's get started on that. Okay, so I ran into an issue. This is the turn signal hole. If you can see that. That's the turn signal hole for the old one, the one that I took off. This is the turn signal hole for the new one. And you see how much larger that is in comparison. Let's see here. There it is. That's a huge difference. So the lights I have, which I was just going to reuse, will not fit in there. They'll go right through that. So there you go. That's how they're not supposed to go all the way in. They're supposed to sit right there, you know, out, but they're supposed to sit right there. And that hole is so big that it just goes all the way through. So I'm either gonna have to find washers to go on both sides of that, or I'm gonna have to get different lights. I was really hoping to use the same lights because I like them. Now the other thing And I'm really hoping that since I got this from T-Rex Racing, that it's not proprietary, like I gotta buy their lights. But who knows? I mean, that's a huge hole. My thumb fits in there. So, yeah. So I'm gonna move on to the oil pan today. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so problem number 2 with the oil pan. The screws themselves are actually easy to get to. Being able to use a box wrench, open box wrench, to get them out is just fine. But they won't come out because of the exhaust. So now I got to figure out how to remove the exhaust. I thought if I took off the other side, there'd be enough gap because they're loose. So I figured they're past the threads. And I had this one down too, but I just put it back up to be able to hold everything in place for right now. But anyways, I thought if I took off all the other screws, that would be able to angle it out. That did not work. So now I got to figure out how to take the exhaust off. I know it's going to do with that screw and other stuff somewhere else. But yeah, it's turning into a bigger project than I had anticipated. I'm assuming these bolts here, which means I'm probably going to have to take the radiator off. So this is going to turn into a huge project. Yeah, not going to finish today, but I'll keep recording and we'll see where it goes. All right, so here we go. I'm going to take off that muffler. I think I recommended this to you last time. Don't forget this to get that little spring out of there. Pulls up, it helps quite nicely. Done. Okay. So all of these bolts underneath for the oil pan, they're all 8mm. I don't think I said that, but make sure I cover it. Oh, I forgot to put gloves back on. Hopefully not too hard. Hopefully I get it done tonight. We'll see. Okay, one's up here, 12mm as well. Nice and easy. Thought I was going to have to take that radiator off. Nope. So how is this going to work? 2. Look at that. Plenty of room. I bet I don't even have to take it off the rest of the way. But I'm gonna, because there it is. Now this thing should be a piece of cake. There's those 3. It's getting dark. Hopefully I get this done. Because of the pump on the inside, you want this to come straight off. Now this is going to be off. This is it. Something I should have done, I didn't think about. I should have gone and went ahead and put the, there's a little bit of oil in there. Should dump it in. Should have put that gasket maker on the new one and let it cure a little bit, because you want it to cure like 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is put it on right now, smooth it out, put it on, let it sit while I scrape the old stuff off, and go from there. So to protect this, I'm going to put it back with just 2 bolts. That way no grime gets up in there while I'm putting it on. So put this on, and then put the gasket maker on the new one, and come back, take this off and scrape the let's see over here, and scrape the old gasket sealant off, because you want to have it nice and clean. All right, got this set up. So I'm going to punch through the hole in here. You're going to do a very thin layer for this, because you're not, you have 2 flat surfaces going together. If you put too much, it's going to, if you put too much of any kind of gel in between two surfaces, when you put them together, they smash out on both sides. Well, whatever comes out on the outside that you wind up scraping off, or you see, or if you leave it, you see it there, that happens on the inside too, and you don't want that. You want a real thin layer. So I'm going to use the smallest hole when I cut that. I already did that, smallest hole. Make my thin layer now, and I'm going to smooth it out with one of those plastic scrapers. Some people call them plastic razor blades. Doesn't matter what you're going to reference it as long as you understand. So I'm not going to scrape it off. I'm just going to smooth it out. Doesn't matter if you go over the holes. Okay, I like this. It came with the little twist, just like the old. Oops. Came out faster than I expected. So I'm going to just put that there. All right, and then you want to, if you can, do one bead. So I'm going to start here, really light. Doesn't matter if you cover the holes because it will puncture through it. You just want to make sure you have it on the inside of the hole as well. Okay. Got a little inconsistency in the thickness, but as I smooth it out, it should be fine. And then once I smooth it out, I'm going to let it dry about 15 to 30 minutes, just so it gets a little tackiness to it. Okay. Now, just grab one. I don't need the holder for it. And I'm not trying to flatten it completely. I'm just barely going to touch it. There we go. To flatten it. I don't want to like smush it so much that it scrapes off, just like peanut butter on a piece of bread kind of thing. Now when I finish though, I'm going to go back and wipe off the inside with the scraper rather hard, because I don't want it excess on the inside getting in with the oil. There we go. So flatten it out. Let it get a little tacky. Make sure I've got enough everywhere. I don't like that it's gray. It's actually harder to see than like if it was black or blue or the red like some of the other ones. So that's all it is. Now I'm going to set this up, get a different one completely, use the scraper, take the pan off, and scrape underneath. So that's probably going to be the hardest part, other than having to take off this stupid muffler. That's the difference between engineers and mechanics. Okay, what I wanted to do here, I took this off. I wanted to kind of show you where that hole is, and you can kind of see the dent right there. Right there. That's where it hit on the other side. That little indent there. So that's where the hole is. Well, it was pretty high up. I was lucky it wasn't a bigger hole, because all that oil could have leaked out while I was driving home and caused a loss of traction on the rear tire, and of course could have crashed. So I got lucky with that. But yeah, you can see that dent right there, and that is the hole. There's a better view of it. You can see it as I brought it inside. Yeah, all the way through. And I got pretty lucky that that wasn't worse. Like I said, loose traction on that rear tire coming home. So ouch, that's what all this trouble is right here. Okay, it's getting dark out, but I want to show you a couple things. So you can see here, those black things right there, that's what I'm scraping off. Okay, I don't want those in there. That's the old silicone gasket. Okay, and you see there was a bunch of them here. So you're getting all that off on the inside. I would have shown you, but it's just too hard of an angle to be able to show you that stuff while I'm laying down, scraping underneath. But you want to get all those out. Now, the next thing, I went ahead and put it on. And what you can see here, it's kind of washed out because of the light, but I've got a gap. Okay, I did one side, and then, or actually I did two sides. I did two corners, this one, and then on the opposite, I did those, and I left a gap, and I started putting in another one to balance it out. And the reason I did that is you want that sealant to all kind of go on at the same time. You don't want it to touch and then separate, and touch and then separate. Okay, you want it to all be go on, and when it touches, it stays. Otherwise, you're going to mess up that gasket. Okay, so that is back on. Bouncy, sorry about that. That is back on. I've got it all tightened, ready to go. As I was tightening the last one, I realized I had not put the drain plug back in. So I went and grabbed it from the other one because this didn't come with one. It's just fine, it fits, it's factory. But don't forget that. So luckily I saw it as I was tightening up and was like, oh yeah, I need to go get that. So haven't put any oil in it yet. I still have to put the exhaust back on, and probably won't do much of that because, like I said, it's just real easy to come off with the exhaust. I think the trick's going to be putting it on by myself. So, okay, I remembered something while I was sulking and about to cry myself to sleep about these lights here. I remembered that when I installed this, I could not use the stock lights because the holes were too small. And the epiphany came. Remember how I said I always save everything in case I have to go back to stock for whatever reason? These are the stock lights, and they fit. They're kind of a pain to get out. There's one of those pins you push down, pull it out, and there's a plastic piece inside of here that comes out. You kind of have to wiggle it, get it out. Cable will fit through it. Then put this rubber piece, finagle it through, get that plastic piece back in there, and then get the push pin back, and it's nice and secure, and they fit. And I can adjust them a little bit if I need to. But yeah, that's gonna work. So I'm gonna continue setting this up. All right, so here's where we are. The tolerances on this are very tight. So stock headlights do work, but you also have to attach the stock license plate mount or license plate light. You didn't have one underneath there. Now I like this brake light a lot better, but it would have been nice if it had one built in, because I feel like it's going to stick down further now than if we were able to have a light up or the license plate a little higher. So, but the panel where everything fits into is right underneath this mechanism here. That little control box that all the turn signals, the brake lights, and the license plate light plug into, all right underneath there. And so the spacers that it has are a little bit larger than the ones for the last Fender Delete I had. But it's still really tight to get in there. It's going to give you a little bit of fight with it, but it should work. So I got it on. I'm getting ready to tighten it up, but before I tighten it up, all right, the test. There we go. Regular tail light, brake light, turn signal, and turn signal. Everything's wired correctly. And you can see the white light down here for the license plate that'll go on. So it will work. Just frustrating. I wasn't expected to go back to this. I thought it was going to work with the other lights. That's fine. I like these. They're blacked out, which goes with the whole theme. As you know, I blacked everything else out pretty much. So, all right. All I'm going to do now is tighten up these bolts and put the seat back on. So I had to move back inside because it's dark out. So there was just no light to work with. That little shop light was not cutting it for me. Oh, look at that. So that is it. I'm gonna do my final snug up here, and it's done. I just put the seat back on and we're good. I guess I gotta put the license plate on too. And then we're good. But you guys know how to do that without me. Everything's snug. I would have liked that control box to be down here and not right underneath that, but that is what it is at this point, I guess. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, that control box being right underneath that latch, man, that's gonna be tight. So, very little give. I hope I'll be able to get that seat back on. It's all tight because the cable's coming from here, from the stock. Because remember, these are all stock now. The cable's coming from, or the wires coming from it, are just the length that it was, but it's like it has to run up behind here and then up through the hole to be able to plug into that box. And that's as far as they would reach. So I might have to go back in and splice longer wires. That might be the only thing I do. But since we're done, I'm going to show you. I took off. I'm going to leave those saddlebags off. Have it just like that for the time being because I like how clean it is. Like the way it looks. I might even take that that gas holder, spare gas holder off. We'll see. So right now, man, I forgot how nice it looks opened up without those saddlebags. So I'm probably going to keep it that way. All I did was put just on the other side here, little bag just to keep my registration in, things like that. Because I didn't want to throw any things on the forks up there. So, and it covers up that that little bar right there, which is what the old muffler mounted to. I know it's hard to see, but it's right there. So I just use it as one of the things to strap around the back. But hey, that's it for now. But looks good. I like it. Yeah, I know my garage isn't like most people who do these YouTube videos, and it's all pristine. And yeah, you know what? I got a kid, wife, and a job. So, all right. Purple Haze, sign off. Hey, everybody, be safe.